Thank you for joining. So very nice of you to join Srimad Bhagavatam class. So let us start by reciting Jai Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Yashodananda Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashodananda Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashodananda Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Shiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Yamuna Shiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Yamuna Shiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Ram Sankirtan Ki Shri Gopal. Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you give me Mickey as a co-host? I need to share the screen.
You're already co-host, Prabhuji.
Fine. Sri Ramachandra Das is given. Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Krishna. Just a moment, Prabhu. So, Hare Krishna Prabhu, let us start. Om Jnana Tripurandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart, somehow is completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable. So just share the screen. So today we'll be discussing The last Saturday, I think Tirtha Chaitanya Prabhu had discussed the first half of the third canto, fifth chapter, the chapter entitled Vidura's Talks with Maitreya. So you might have taken up to 25. So from 26 to 50 on the last, the second half. So just wanted to show you this. This is the title of this chapter. Go to the, actually, we will first recite. In fact, the last verse is a very, very important verse and most very powerful verse also. We'll just recite this verse and then we'll discuss from 26 onwards. Okay. Hare Krishna. ततो वयं प्रमुखाय दर्थे बभूविमात्मन् करवाम किं ते त्वं न स्वचक्षुः परिदेहि शक्त्या देव क्रियाते यदनुग्रहाण ततो वयं प्रमुखाय दर्थे बभूविमात्मन् करवाम किं ते त्वं न स्वचक्षुः परिदेहि शक्त्या देव क्रियार्ते यदनुग्रहाणाम् ततो वयं प्रमुखाय दर्थे बहुविमात्मन् करवाम किं ते त्वं न स्वचक्षुः परिदेहि शक्त्या देव क्रियार्ते यदनुग्रहाणाम्. Any Prabhuji, Mataji would like to recite and try.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
May I?
please. Yes, please.
ततो वयं प्रमुखाय दर्थे बभूविमात्मन् करवां किमते त्वं न स्वचक्षु परिदेहि शक्त्या देव क्रियार्थे यदनुग्रहाणाम्. हरे कृष्ण.
One more Prabhu or Mataji can try.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, shall I?
Yes, Mataji, please go.
Tato vayam pramukhaya darte babhuvivatman karavam kim te tvam naspakshu paritehi shaktya deva kriyate yatanugrahanam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Go to the synonyms, word to word meaning. Tata, therefore, Vayam, all of us, Mat Pramukhaha, coming from the total cosmos, the Mahat Tattva, Yadarte, for the purpose of which Bhavuvima created Atman, O Supreme Self, Karavama shall do, Kim, what, Te, your service, Tvam, yourself, Na, to us, Swachakshuhu, personal plan, Paridehi, specifically grant us, Shaktya, with potency to work, Deva, O Lord, Kriyate, for acting, Yat, from which Anugrahanam, of those who are specifically favored. Translation by Srila O Supreme Self, please give us, who are created at the beginning from the Mahatattva, the total cosmic energy, your kind directions and how we shall act. Kindly award us your perfect knowledge and potency so that we can render you service in the different departments of subsequent creation. Yes, purport we'll be discussing anyway. So, this is the prayers by the demigods. Some beautiful prayers. So, we'll discuss this. Okay. Om Gyantvarandasya Jnananjashalakhya Chakshurunlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Vachyat Deshatarne Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचि इमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयति एकलशक्तिधरस्वधां नाम अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणतुगादीन् प्राणानमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं मुखं कराठि वाचनं पङ्गुनिर्माणं So Hare Krishna, Prabhupada Mataji. Again, I welcome all of you for this session of Srimad Bhagavatam, where we are discussing from the third canto of fifth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, the second half, that is from verse number 26 to 51.
Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam Prabhuji.
So this chapter is entitled Vidura Talks with Maitreya. And he is asking a lot of inquiring, not asking, he's inquiring. He's a humble and submissive mood, inquiring with Maitreya Muni. He wanted to learn more about Krishna and his pastimes and all, right? In fact, the first question was, what is a true, how do you define a real happiness? Happiness everybody wants, right? But what is the real happiness? See, we all search for happiness during the period of entire life we want. Definitely, right? We are only seeking for happiness, peace of mind. And we convince ourselves that life will be better. You see the status, huh? Life will be better once we are married. And then have a baby. Then so on and so forth. Then we get frustrated because our children are not old enough, they're very small, right? Then we think of that, okay, everything will be fine after they get a bit older. Then we are frustrated because when they reach the adolescence, we must deal with them very carefully, right? Surely we'll be happier when they grow out of the teen years. Then we tell ourselves, our life will be better when we get a new house, nice car, when our children will get married, and finally when we retire, when we settle down. The truth is, there is no better time than now to be happy. Correct. We think we settle, we never settle down. So we all know that the most important thing is much more than material and sense gratification. That's why the second verse of this chapter, 352, with Mahatma Vidura, for the benefit of all the fallen souls like us, is inquiring from Maitreya Muni. What does he ask? He says, "O great sage, everyone in this world engages in fruitive activities to attain happiness. But one finds neither satiation nor the mitigation of distress. On the contrary, one is only aggravated by such activities. Please, therefore, give us directions on how one should live for real happiness." And so we can find a very apt answer for this question in the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj in the Bhagavatam, in the verse 7:42. So while explaining to his friends in the classmates, right, about the glories of devotional service, Prahlad Maharaj says, in this material world, every materialist desires to achieve happiness and diminish his distress, and therefore he acts accordingly. Correct? So actually, however, one is happy, very nice point. One is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. So as soon as one begins his activities for happiness, his conditions of distress begin. So as soon as we understand the truth in Prahlad Maharaj's statement and stop endeavoring for material happiness, we will be able to overcome distress. Real happiness lies only in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. So as soon as we chant his names, requesting him to engage us in his service, right? So Krishna very mercifully reciprocates and helps us to remain blissful always. So let us chant the holy name of Lord Krishna and be happy. Chant and be happy. Prabhupada says, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So in the translation of this verse, Vidura is requesting Maitreya Muni, please therefore give us directions on how one should live for real happiness. So seeking directions. So Vidura is seeking direction, help from Maitreya Muni. See, in order to equip ourselves for preaching the glories of the Lord, we just cannot sit just like that. It's not possible. We have to study very hard. At least 2 hours a day, you should completely forget your, see, at least for 2 hours a day, you should forget your house. Completely forget your activities. Completely forget that you are a very important person in your house. That much focused we should be. You should forget that you are a very important person in your house for those 2 hours. See, Ravana was also thinking like that. This is very important. That, and he had 10 heads. He was also destroyed. See, when it was decided that he has to fight with Lord Ram, Ravana was a bit perplexed because he knew that Lord Ram was very powerful. So he wanted to have the help from somebody. So he remembered his grandfather, who was Ravana's grandfather, Bali Maharaj. And he knew that Bali Maharaj was in Sutala planet. And Ravana was a great mystic, Shiva Bhakta. And mystics means he could fly from one planet to another, right? So he thought, I will go to my grandfather. And naturally, grandfathers are more loving to the grandchildren than their own children, right? Which we are. So when Ravana went there, he found out that Vamana was there, standing outside. Vamana is a god at the Bali Maharaj's planet. So Vamana thought, see, look at the thinking of Lord. Vamana is thinking, upstairs in the Bhuluka, this useless fellow has kidnapped my wife. And again, why is he coming here? Ravana could not recognize that this is Lord's dwarf incarnation. So Ravana said, hey, who are you? Vamana said, I am God and I am guarding. Now Ravana said, all right, I want to see my Dada. Dada means grandfather. So Vamana said, you can't see, you can't go there. Ravana said, you're nonsense. Now Vamana was thinking, anyway, I am going to fight with him in upstairs Bhuloka. So let him go now. So he allowed him to go. See, Ravana went to Sutala planet. Why did he go? To meet his grandfather, Bali Maharaj, for getting help from him to fight against Lord Ram. The Bali Maharaj said, son, you please hear my advice. You are going to be destroyed if you are carrying this idea of fighting against Lord Ram. He said, Dada, don't talk about this. I am not asking the advice whether I should fight or not. I have decided that I will fight. And what help can you give me? Tell me. So Bali Maharaj was completely quiet. He thought, this rascal is going to be destroyed. But anyway, he was a grandfather, right? So he said, okay, I will help you. So what happened? Bali Maharaj took Ravana out of the palace and they went out in the outskirts of the palace. And there was a big mountain there, much more higher than the Himalayas. It was all golden mountain, complete. So they went near the mountain. And Bali Maharaj said, son, you see this mountain? Yeah, I have only one city, golden city, and you have this big stone, whole stone of mountain. Where did you get it? Did you smuggle it from Dubai? Maharaj said, no, I don't believe in smuggling. The mountain belongs to you, son. So Ravana was very pleased. How much gold can be collected from such a big mass of stone? He was very pleased. And he said, with all this gold, I will definitely kill Rama. So he was very happy. But see, he could not, how much he could collect, right? In flight, how much? 20 kilos? See, in the airplane, how much we allowed, right? So Ravana couldn't take more. So he said, Dada, you have given me, but such a huge mountain, but transportation is a problem. He said, son, you understand me? I have given you the whole mountain. Transportation is your problem. You organize and you take. I am ready to give the whole thing. At the end, Ravana was very pleased. He took whatever he could. And Bali Maharaj asked him, do you know what this mountain is? Ravana said, no, Dada, what is it? He said, the whole golden mountain, which is higher than the Himalayas, is the earring of your great-great-grandfather Hiranyaksha. And earring is very small compared to the whole body, right? So if that Hiranyaksha was putting on this large earring, how much huge his body should be, how much long it should be. And we have the description in Bhagavatam that when Hiranyaksha used to stand, his helmet will be touching the clouds. Such a big body. Then only he can afford such a big earring. So Bali Maharaj said, so he gave me this earring and I am preserving it. Such a big personality. Now you see, such a big personality, such a powerful personality was killed by Krishna. So he said, so please, even now you drop this idea of fighting with Lord Ram. You go up in your planet and you return Sita and fall at his feet and he will excuse you and your life will be perfect. Very nice advice grandfather is giving. Ravana said, Dada, again you are advising me. I don't know advice regarding fighting. Vinashakale viparita buddhi. Whenever Vinashakal, when the destruction comes, we don't hear anybody. And particularly good advice we don't hear. So Ravana wants to die. He wants to be destroyed completely. And that's why he didn't hear at all. This is the thing. If you reject Krishna from your life, we become Ravana. And if you become Ravana, for a while you may prosper. You may have a golden Lanka and you may have so much prosperity. You may be very proud also. But the end is very bad. That is what we do, right? We reject these things. We don't understand at all. And by rejecting these things, it doesn't make any difference to Krishna or Lord Ram, but it destroys us. So please do everything and anything, but don't reject. Don't eradicate Krishna consciousness from your existence. If you follow this anywhere in any situation, you will win. See, in the 23rd verse, just now, actually the 23rd verse, right? Yeah. The translation, it says, the personality of God, the master of all living entities, existed prior to the creation as one without a second. It is by his will only that creation is made possible, and again everything merges into him. So this supreme self is symptomized by different names. So purport, he says that creates, I am not reading full purport. So here, Matrimony is beginning to explain the purpose of the four original seed verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, which we would have seen in 29, 33, 34, 35, and 36, second canto. And in the 24th verse, important point is that the Lord wanted to create the cosmic manifestation to give another chance to conditioned souls who are dormant in forgetfulness. So this cosmic manifestation gives the conditioned souls a chance to go back to Godhead, and that is the main purpose. So main purpose of this creation, cosmic manifestation, is for all the conditioned souls like us. He's given a chance for us to go back to Godhead. That's the main purpose of this creation. So let's come to the 26th verse, from where we will be starting this. कालवृत्त्या तु मायायां गुणमय्या मधोक्षजः पुरुषेणात्मभूतेन वीर्यम् आदत्त वीर्यवान्. So the Supreme Living Being in his feature as a transcendental Purusha incarnation, who is the Lord's plenary expansion, impregnates the middle nature of three modes, and thus by the influence of eternal time, the living entities appear. See, when the cosmic manifestation is created, living entities are directly supplied from the Lord. See, I've taken some few points from the purport. So I will not be reading the full purport. I'll just give a glimpse. See, just please see the important things. When this cosmic, it was manifested, living entities are directly supplied from the Lord. This is important. Supplied from the Lord. And they are never products of material nature. So, no scientific advancement of material science can ever produce a living being. So, this is the whole mystery of the material creation. So, the living entities are foreign to matter. And they cannot be happy unless they are situated in the same spiritual life as the Lord. So, mistaken living being, out of forgetfulness of this original condition of life, unnecessarily wastes time trying to become happy in this material. Because we come directly from the Supreme Personality. We are actually transcendental. Soul is transcendental, correct? So the whole Vedic process is to remind one of this essential feature of life. The Lord offers a conditioned soul, a material body, for his so-called enjoyment. But if one does not come to his senses and enter into spiritual consciousness, the Lord again puts him in the unmanifest condition as it existed in the beginning of the creation. See, the Lord is described here as Viryavan, or the greatest potent being, because he impregnates material nature with innumerable living entities who are conditioned from time immemorial. So in the 27th verse, Tato bhavan mahattvam avyaktat kala choditat vijnanatmatma hidehastam vishwam vyanjam statuttamo nudaha. Thereafter, the influence by the interactions of eternal time, the supreme sum total of matter, called the Mahatattva, became manifested. And in this Mahatattva, the unalloyed goodness, Supreme Lord, sowed the seeds of universal manifestation out of his own body. So the Mahatattva, or shadow of pure consciousness, is the germinating place of all creation. It is pure goodness with a slight addition of material mode of passion, and therefore activity is generated from this point. So before any creation, I think that Bhumi Apa, that's earth, water, fire, then the Shabda, right? Taste, then the knowledge acquiring senses, action senses, mind, intelligence, ego, all these things were there, right? As just an ingredient. Just like before creating a building, like the stones, the bricks, cement, everything is lying around, no? Unless it is mixed, cannot create anything. So, like that, the whole thing was unmanifested. It is just there. So, what happened? The 28th verse, we can see Sopyam sh gunakalatma Bhagavad Drishti Gocharaha Atmanam Vyakarodhatma Vishwasyasya Shishrikshaya Bhagavad Drishti. Drishti Gochara means the range of sight, glance. So thereafter, Mahatattva differentiates itself into many different forms as a result of the would-be entities. The Mahatattva is the chiefly in the mode of ignorance, and it generates the false ego. It is a plenary expansion of the personality of Godhead with full consciousness of creative principles and time for fructification. Now let us see the 29th verse. So here the purport says, no, Mahatattva is a medium between pure spirit and material existence. It is the juncture of matter and spirit, wherefrom the false ego of the living entity is generated. So let us see the 29th verse. महत्तत्वाद् विकुर्वाणाद् अहं तत्त्वं व्यजायत कार्यकारणकर्तात्मा भूतेन्द्रियमनोमयः वैकारिकस्तैजसश्च तामसश्चेत्यहं त्रिधा. Mahatattva, or the great causal truth, transforms into false ego, which is manifested in three phases: cause, effect, and the doer. All such activities are on the mental plane, based on the material elements, gross senses, and mental speculation. The false ego is represented in three different modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. See, a pure living entity, you can just hear the purport. A pure living entity in his original spiritual existence is fully conscious of his constitutional position as an eternal servitor of the Lord. All souls who are situated in such pure consciousness are liberated, and therefore they eternally live in bliss and knowledge in the various Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky. When the material creation is manifested, it is not meant for them, for the liberated souls, for pure souls. The eternally liberated souls are all called Nitya Muktas, and they have nothing to do with the material creation. So what is this purpose? Material creation is meant for rebellious souls who are not prepared to accept subordination under the Supreme Law, because we want to enjoy separately, right? The spirit of false lordship is called false ego. It is manifested in three modes of material nature, and it exists in mental speculation only. So those who are in the mode of goodness think that each and every person is God, and thus they laugh at the pure devotees, because pure devotees try to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. They laugh at them. So those who are puffed up by the mode of passion, they try to lord it over material nature in various ways. And some of them engage in altruistic activities as if they were agents appointed to do good to others by their mental speculative plans. Such men accept the standard ways of mundane altruism, but their plans are made on the basis of false ego, because they want appreciation, glorification, fame, name, right? So this false ego extends to the limit of becoming one with the Lord, merging with the Lord. The last class of egoistic conditioned souls, those in the mode of ignorance, are misguided by identification of the gross body with the self. They think that body is the only thing. Thus, all their activities are centered around the body only. So all these persons are given the chance to play with the false egoistic ideas. At the same time, the Lord is kind enough to give them a chance to take help from the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam so that they may understand the science of Krishna, thus make their life successful. So the entire material creation, therefore, is meant for the falsely egoistic living entities, hovering on the mental plane under the different illusions in the modes of material nature. So if we wanted to enjoy, so you can, that's why we created this. But he's so merciful. That point is very nice. At the same time, Lord is kind enough to give chance to help, take help from scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, so that they understand the science of Krishna and make their lives successful. That is the most important point to understand why this creation is there. Opportunity, right? So in the 30th verse, Aham tattva vikurvanan mano vekarikadahut vekarikascha ye deva arthabhivyanjanam yatoho. Sorry, yataha. The false ego is transformed into mind by interaction with the modes of goodness. All the demigods who control the phenomenal world are also products of the same principle, namely interaction of false ego in the mode of goodness. The purport Prabhupada says, false ego interacting with different modes of mental nature is the source of all materials in the material world, in the phenomenal world. 31st verse. Tejasan indriyan eva jnana karma mayani cha. The senses are certainly products of the modes of passion in false ego. First one was false ego and goodness, where the mind is generated. Senses are more under the mode of passion, false ego, senses are created. And therefore, the philosophical speculative knowledge and fruitive activities are predominantly products of the modes of passion. So you say the chief function of false ego is godlessness. So that's why so the chief function of false ego is godlessness. Prabhupada says in the purport, when a person forgets his constitutional position, what is our constitutional position? You are eternal servants of God. You only serve Him. So when a person forgets this, as an eternally supported part and parcel of Supreme Personality Godhead, and wants to be happy independently, he functions mainly in two ways. He first attempts to act fruitively for personal gain or sense satisfaction, and after attempting such fruitive activities for a considerable time, when he is frustrated, he becomes a philosophical speculator and thinks himself to be on the same level as God. So this false idea of becoming one with the Lord is the last snare of the illusory energy, which traps the living entity to bondage of forgetfulness under the spell of false ego. So the best means of liberation from the clutches of false ego is to give up the habit of philosophical speculation regarding the absolute truth. He's like this, why he's not like that? No need for that. So one should know definitely that absolute truth is never realized by philosophical speculations of the imperfect, egoistic person. What a beautiful statement Prabhupada here. The absolute truth, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is realized by hearing about Him, no submission and love from a bona fide authority who is a representative of the 12 great authorities, Mahajanas, mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So by such an attempt, only one can conquer the illusion energy of the Lord. Although for others, she is unsurpassable, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.14. See, 32, will not be reciting these words. From 32 to 37, you will see how the creation from the sky, the sound, then air, fire, water, earth, and all these things takes place, right? See, in the 33rd verse, sorry, 32 is tamaso bhuta sukshmadir yada kham lingam atmanaha. Sky is a product of sound. And sound is a transformation of egoistic ignorance. So, in other words, the sky is a symbolic representation of the Supreme Soul. The 33rd verse, no? Kalamayam shayogena bhagavat vikshitam nabha nabasonushutam sparsham vikurvan nirmame anilan. Thereafter, the personality of God had glanced to the sky, partly mixed with eternal time and external energy, and thus developed the touch sensation, from which the air in the sky was produced. The first one was the sound and sky, right? So all material creations take place from the subtle to the gross. Gross is the earth, Bhumi. So here, earth, no, earth is the first, that is subtlest form. So entire universe has developed in that manner. So from the sky, developed the touch sensation. which is a mixture of eternal time, external energy, and the glance of the personality body. This is a very important point. See, initially, everything is lying around the ingredients, right? Then so slowly, by the glance of the Lord, all these are mixed with the external energy of the Lord. And then you can see the sky is ether. Then from the ether, it is a sound. Then comes the air, that is the touch sensation, right? So the touch sensation developed into air in the sky. Similarly, all of the gross matter also developed from the subtle to gross. So it is sound developed into sky, touch developed into air, form developed into fire, taste developed into water, and smell developed into earth. Bhumi apa analo vayu kham mano. So 34th verse is Anilo api vikurvano nabasoro balanvitah sasarjarupa tanmatram jyotir lokasya lochanam. Thereafter, the extremely powerful air interacting with the sky generated the form of sense perception. Perception of form transformed to electricity, light to see the world. Basically, it's a fire. The 35th is Anile Anine Aniledanvitam Jyotir Vikurvat Paravekshitam Adhatamborasamayam Kala Mayamsha Yogatah. When electricity was surcharged in the air, it was glanced over by the supreme at that time. By mixture of eternal time and external energy, they record the creation of water and taste. So see, always a glance and then mixture of eternal time and external energy. Then you create the next. So water and taste. Bhumi, Apa, Anala, Vayu. Bhumi is first earth. Then Apa is water. Anala, fire. Vayu, air. And then ether come. So from that, subtle is ether. Then if you go from behind, subtle form to the grossest form. 36 is Jyotishambho Anusam Vikurva Brahma Vikshitam Mahim Gandha Gunam Adhat Kalamayam Shajogatah. Thereafter, the water produced from electricity was glanced over by the spirit, again glanced spirit garden, and mixed with eternal time and external energy. Thus, it was transformed into the earth, which is qualified primarily by smell, gandha. This is the 36th, right? See, this is very important, this purport. Please hear very carefully. Because there is nothing to describe by Prabhupada. It's everything beautifully given by Prabhupada. See, from the description of the physical elements in the above verses, right? It is clear that in all the stages, glance of the Supreme is needed with the other additions and alterations. So in every transformation, the last finishing touch is a glance of the Lord, who acts as a painter, no? Thus, when he mixes different colors to transform them into a particular color. So when one element mixes with another, the number of its qualities increases. For example, sky is a cause of air. Now, sky has one quality, that is sound. But by the interaction of the sky with the glance of the Lord, mixed with eternal time and external nature, air is produced. And air has two qualities. Qualities of the sky is there and sound, and its own qualities, that is touch. Similarly, after the air is created, interaction of sky and air, touched by time, the external energy of the Lord produces electricity, that is fire actually. Next, the interaction of electricity with air and sky, mixed with time, the external energy and the Lord's glance over them produces water. So in the final stage of sky, there is one quality, namely sound. In the air, two qualities, sound and touch. In the electricity, there is fire, three qualities, namely sound, touch, and form. In the water, four qualities, sound, touch, form, and taste. In the last stage of physical development, the result is earth, which has all the five qualities, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Shabda, Sparsha, right? Rupa, Rasa, and Gandha. So although they are different mixtures of different materials, such mixtures do not take place automatically. Very important point. Nothing comes just automatically. Just as a mixture of colors does not take place automatically without the touch of the living painter. There is a form. Somebody is behind that. So automatic system is factually activated by the glancing touch of the Lord. So living consciousness is the final word in all physical changes. So the fact is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Maya dakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetu nanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. The conclusion is that the physical elements may work very wonderfully to the layman's eyes, but their workings actually take place under the supervision of the Lord. So those who can mark only the changes of the physical elements and cannot perceive the hidden hands of the Lord behind them are certainly less intelligent persons, although they may be advertised as great material scientists. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. 37th is Bhutanam Nabhadinam Yadyad Bhavyavaram Tesham Paranu Samsmargad Samsargad Yata Sankhyam Gunan Viduhu. O gentle one, of all the physical elements, beginning from the sky down to the earth, all the inferior and superior qualities are due only to the final touch of the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, just hold on, please 1 minute, sorry. Sorry, please excuse me. Hare Krishna. Okay. So the 30th translation is now, 30th verse is another. So these are very important things to understand. So Ete Deva Kala Vishnoho Kala Mayamsha Linginaha Nanat Nanatvat Swa Kriyam Nishaha Rochu Pranjalayo Vibhum. The controlling deities of all the above physical elements are empowered expansions of Lord Vishnu. They are embodied by eternal time under the external energy and they are as parts and parcels. Because they were interested in different functions of universal duties and were unable to perform them, they offered fascinating prayers to the Lord as follows. See, they have been given universal, they are demigods are the they are managers to manage the affairs of the cosmic manifestation. It's a very huge purport. I just took some points from there. Because time is also very sensitive. It says, a devotee of the Lord is never controlled by such deputy demigods who function as assistants of the Lord. But he shows them all respects on account of the responsible positions to which they have been appointed themselves. Right? So at the same time, the devotee of the Lord does not foolishly mistake them to be the Supreme Lord. Very important point. Only foolish persons, they accept the demigods as being on the same level as Vishnu. Actually, they are all appointed as servants of Vishnu. See, the Lord is equal to every living entity, just like the flowing Ganges, right? The Ganges water is meant for, everybody knows, purification of everyone. Right? We take a dip in the Ganges water and get purified, right? So yet the trees on the banks of the Ganges have different values. Prabhupada says in the purport, a mango tree on the bank of Ganges drinks the water. And the Nimba tree also drinks the same water. The fruits of both trees are different. One is celestially sweet, mango season, right? Everybody, mango, very sweet. And the other is hellishly bitter. The condemned bitterness of the Nimba is due to its own past work, just as the sweetness of the mango is also due to its own karma. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 16.19, Tanaham Dvishatah Kruran Samsareshu Naradhaman Shipam Yajasram Ashubhan Asuresheva Yonishu. The envious, the mischievous, the lowest of mankind. These do I ever put back into the ocean of material existence, into various demonic species of life. Demigods like Yamaraj and other controllers are there for unwanted conditioned souls who always engage in threatening the tranquility of the kingdom of God. Since all the demigods are confidential devotee servitors of the Lord, they are never to be condemned. You should be respectful to them. See, while describing about the adverse fruitive activities, Lord Kapila says in Bhagavatam 3:30-14, he says, the foolish family man does not become averse to family life, although he is maintained by those whom he once maintained. Deformed by the influence of old age, he prepares himself to meet ultimate death. See, out of the 4 kinds of miseries, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, birth, death, old age, and disease, the problems and pains of old age are very nicely explained by the Lord in 30th chapter of 3rd Canto. It is very important for us to meditate upon the instructions given by the Lord. See, if you are fortunate to learn about the process of devotional service right from the beginning of life, Kaumaram, right to the age of 5, then even if our body does not cooperate with us, we'll be able to face the challenges of life peacefully. But if you have not taken shelter of the Lord, then it is very difficult to pass the time. People may retire. Now, after retirement, what you will do? If you have taken up this Krishna consciousness, it will be very useful throughout your life. And at home also you will be respected. Right? Otherwise, elderly people there who are nowadays who gives them the respect they require actually. So knowing the glories of the lotus feet of the Lord, demigods, they pray in the 39th verse. From here they start praying wonderful verses, right? Deva, Deva Uchuhu, Namamate Deva, Padaravindam, Prapannatapopashamatapatram, Yanumolaketa, Yatayonjasoru, Sansara Dukkam, Bahiru, Utshipanti. Very beautiful verse. So the demigods, they're telling, Oh Lord, your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered souls, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under that shelter throw off all material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. See, when we have umbrella, it does not mean that it will never rain. The moment you take, suppose the rain is there, you take an umbrella to, but it doesn't mean that automatically it will stop. No, even if it rains, it will not touch us. Similarly, if we hold on to the safest shelter or umbrella of the lotus feet of the Lord, then no material miseries can touch us. By chanting his holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, studying Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we will have clear understanding that the family members are not the cause of our suffering. Okay. So the process of bhakti is so potent that it makes our mind more mature and protects us from all loose talks and anxieties. So let's start engaging our senses right now in devotional service when they are in good condition itself, and surrender to lotus feet of the Lord and lead a life free from all kinds of anxieties. See, there are 3 stages of spiritual advancement: Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. What is Sambandha? Sambandha is which is understanding that one has an eternal relationship with Krishna. Abhideya is working to establish that relationship. And Prayojana, which is relishing that relationship. And Sambandha is based on 3 understandings. They are number 1, knowing Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of God. This is the first one, Sambandha. Second, realizing that we are all spirit souls. And third, acknowledging that there exists an eternal relationship between Krishna and each and every spirit soul. So when the mind becomes polluted by desires for sense gratification, the living entity drops into the material conditions. Thereby he begins his material existence, which means that he transmigrates from one body to another and becomes more and more entangled in material existence. So the process of Krishna consciousness, by which one always thinks of Krishna, is the transcendental process by which one can revert back to his original spiritual existence. But devotional service means always thinking of Krishna and never forgetting Krishna. So any person, whatever or whoso he or she may be, they can attain the highest perfection of life, come back to Godhead, provided he or she takes the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So when devotional service is present in one's heart, desires to perform sinful activities have no place for that. Right? So sinful life is due to ignorance. Sinful life is due to ignorance, which means forgetfulness of one's constitutional position as an external servant of God. But when one is fully Krishna conscious, he realizes that he is eternal servant of Krishna. That's why the 39th verse is very important. That's why in this verse, no, the word Utshipanti. Utshipanti is very significant. It means forcibly throw. Miseries don't go away easily unless and until we forcibly throw them away from our lives. The only way to forcibly throw them away is by taking shelter of the umbrella, or umbrella like lotus feet of Krishna. Taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet means performing devotional service unto Him without any motivation and without any interruption, and performing unmotivated and uninterrupted devotional service. So this begins with Sambandha Jnana, that is understanding our eternal relationship with Krishna. See, in the summary of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Suta Goswami also explains this point. So remembrance of Lord Krishna's lotus feet destroys everything inauspicious. It destroys. And then it awards the greatest good fortune. Very important point. Remembrance of Krishna's lotus feet destroys everything inauspicious and awards the greatest good fortune. So we can remain very strong from this by taking a firm shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna, by chanting his holy name incessantly, continuously, and praying always for being engaged in his service. So that's the beauty of that verse. Now, 40th verse, Dhatar yadasmin bhavaisha jivas tapatrayena bihatana sharma atman lavante bhagam stavangri chayam chayam savidyam atashrayema. O Father, O Lord, O Personality of Godhead, third demigod's prayers. The living entities in the material world can never have any happiness because they are overwhelmed with three kinds of miseries. Therefore, they take shelter of the shade of your lotus feet, which are full of knowledge, and we also thus take shelter of them. See, this purport is very important, very nice to understand. The way of devotional service is neither sentimental nor mundane. It is a path of reality by which the living entity can attain the transcendental happiness of being freed from the three kinds of material miseries. That is, miseries arising from the body and mind, from other living entities, and from natural disturbances. So everyone who is conditioned by material existence, we are all conditioned by material existence, right? Whether he be a man, beast, or demigod or bird, they must suffer from these three. What are those three? Adhyatmika miseries, bodily or mental pains. Adi bhautika pains, which are offered by other living creatures. And Adi devika pains, those due to supernatural disturbances, like tsunami, floods, and so many things, earthquakes, right? So his happiness is nothing but a hard struggle to get free from the miseries of conditioned life. There is only one way he can be rescued. That is accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of Supreme Personality. See how many times you have seen that? Accept the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. See, the argument that unless one has proper knowledge, one cannot be freed from material miseries is very true. But because the lotus feet of the Lord are full of transcendental knowledge, acceptance of his lotus feet completes that necessity. So we already discussed this point in the first canto 127. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah Janeti Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahaitukam. There is no want of knowledge in the devotional services of Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead. He, the Lord, personally takes charge of dissipating the darkness of ignorance from the heart of a devotee. See, personally he takes charge. So he confirms this in Bhagavad Gita 10.10, one of the seed verses. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. Empiric philosophical speculation cannot give one relief from the threefold miseries of material existence. Simply to endeavor for knowledge without devoting oneself to the Lord is a waste of valuable time. 41st is Marganti yatte mukhapadmanidesh chanda suparne rishayo vivekte yasyagamarshodasarit varayaha padam padam tirtha pada prapannaha. The lotus feet of the Lord are by themselves the shelter of all places of pilgrimage. Great clear-minded sages, carried by the wings of the Vedas, always search out the nest of your lotus-like face. Some of them surrender to your lotus feet at every step by taking shelter of the best rivers of the Ganges, which can deliver one from all the sinful reactions. So the most beautiful thing in the world is the Vedas. or Bhagavad Gita, because knowledge imparted by the personality of God himself. Very important point to understand. See, this 42nd verse. यश्रद्धया श्रुतवत्या च भक्त्या समृज्यमाने हृदयवधाय ज्ञानेन वैराग्यबलेन धीरा व्रजेम तत्तेन्द्रियसरोजपीठम्. Sarojapeetam. The word to word meaning says lotus sanctuary. Simply by hearing about your lotus feet with eagerness and devotion, and by meditating upon them within the heart, one at once becomes enlightened with knowledge, and the strength of detachment one becomes pacified. You must therefore take shelter of the sanctuary of your lotus feet. So, we see the controlling deities, demigods of all the physical elements, were empowered expansions of Lord Vishnu. They were entrusted with different functions of universal duties. And when they were unable to perform them, they offered this wonderful prayers to the Lord. And one of them is this 42nd verse. Right? So here, the process of becoming a dhira, that is a completely pacified person, is so wonderfully described. See, the whole process begins with hearing. And how to hear about Krishna is very wonderfully described. First is Shraddhaya. See, everywhere else, the meaning for the word Shraddha is faith. But here, Srila Prabhupada has translated it as eagerness. So, the ingredient for faith is to have eagerness. We must always be eager to come to the temple. We must be always eager to sit to study Srimad Bhagavatam. If we are doing it out of routine, then Krishna is lost to us. But if we do it because we are really eager and really want to hear, then Krishna immediately reciprocates with us. So when we have faith, see, faith is not static, huh? It is dynamic. It is dynamic because we have to be eager. Eagerness means we should always be enthusiastic. So this is the most important qualification for a devotee to have faith in Krishna. Utsaha, enthusiasm. Prabhupada actually gives a deeper meaning of it. If you want to have faith in Krishna, we must be very eager. That means we must be wanting to hear, always waiting and wanting to hear. See, my Guru Maharaj used to say, if you are eager to hear, then you always have a smile on the face. It's not that we are dragged to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. No. It's not that we are waiting and then we'll finish. No, that is not eagerness. We're ready, we're waiting for 5 minutes to be finished. There should be genuine appreciation to hear about Krishna. That is eagerness. When we have that eagerness is there, then we have enthusiasm. And if there is enthusiasm, then our Shraddha becomes fixed. So these two qualities are very important. So we must always be eager. And when one becomes eager, one becomes very positive. So being positive is very, very important. So devotee always sees everything as a blessing. In fact, in this material world, also, no, even if we do not believe in Krishna, if you want to work in the corporate world, they always tell, no, be positive. Correct. Another point is simplicity. Prabhupada starts the translation with the word simply. Simply here, he said. So this simplicity is a starting point. It means our devotional service should be simple. We should not complicate it. How number one is simplicity means we do not agitate others. There are many points, but few of them we can discuss. Simplicity means we do not agitate others. See, very often in our devotional service, no, we complicate matters. How to know if we complicate matters? The symptom of complicating is when we cause disturbance to others. And when we cause disturbance to others, that means our devotional service is not simple. Because family, people, everybody becomes disturbed because we are complicated. So we should be simple. Simplicity means we do not agitate others, means then we are simple. And simple means we do not think too much. Prabhupada writes in the purport, devotional service entails being initiated by a bona fide spiritual master and following his instructions in regard to hear about the Lord. So such a bona fide spiritual master is accepted by regularly hearing from him about the Lord. Means we should not think too much. Just follow the instructions of the spiritual master. Third one is simple also means one-pointed attention. You only look to Krishna. We do not look to anything else. So those who are with Krishna, That's it. We are also with them. That's all. Nothing else. No complication. We are Krishna and his devotees. When we have eagerness, enthusiasm, then there is nice faith. So this faith is to be kept simple. And when it is kept simple with eagerness and enthusiasm, we can hear about Krishna. This is how we start to hear about Krishna. So Prabhupada writes, simply by hearing about your lotus feet, he states in the translation, simply by hearing about your lotus feet. So why it is not only hearing about lotus feet, and not lotus hand or lotus face? Come to the third, the quality, other quality is humility. Prabhupada writes in the translation, simply by hearing about your lotus feet. So why lotus feet? Why not lotus hand or lotus face? See, everything about Krishna is lotus anyway. If you look at someone, if you look face to face, that means you think you are equal. When you face to face, you think you are equal. But when you look at someone and look at a person's feet, immediately there is humility. We become humble. Trinadapi Sunichyam. See, when you see father, mother, elders, always we touch the feet. So that's not supposed to be a ritual. It's supposed to induce humility. Vaishnavas bow to each other and offer respect obeisances. If you are really genuinely humble, no, we have qualification only to see the lotus feet of Krishna and to hear about the same. The qualification is important. Starting point is important. So once we hear very simply, without complicating the matters, and if we have Shraddha, which is based on eagerness, and we are humble, then devotion manifests. So for devotion to manifest in our hearts, we have to be simple, humble, eager, and enthusiastic. When these ingredients are there, no, then devotion comes as the main dish. Then that person will always have a place at the lotus feet of Krishna. Another point is contemplation, leading to pleasing behavior. See, this verse, no, starts with Shraddhaya, eagerness, and Shutavatya, simply by hearing. So after we hear about Krishna, then what we should do is we should meditate. Avadhaya. So meditation is to contemplate. See, the real struggle for all of us is after we discuss the verses in the class, we do not contemplate on it. After the class, everyone goes for prasadam. So how many of us discuss the verse after that? The moment we stop the class, start prasadam. We start talking about weather and so many other things. The whole verse is forgotten. See, anything in the world you want to achieve, you have to think about it and contemplate. See, your business proposal, right? In order to work it through, you have to think, absorb, explore the different angles. Literally, you are meditating on this. The best solution for all the problems is just to meditate on what we have studied. You just have to contemplate on Krishna for a few minutes more. That's all. It does not take too much. You do not have to make a big show of it, right? Oh, I'm studying it. You can perform all your duties, very responsible duties as a grasta and everything you can still do. At the same time, at the back of the mind, you can contemplate on what was discussed. It does not mean we drop everything, correct? Don't be careless. That is why it said, Shanman Supatan Vicharana Paro. 12th Canto, 13th chapter, 18th verse. We hear, we read, we recite. We seriously contemplate on it means we have to put it into practice. That which cannot be put into practice is of no value. That which can be practiced is definitely Bhagavatam. So all relationships must be very pleasing based on Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise, it is concoction. See, we should not be fanatical, right? Patiently, we put things into practice. Devotional service is a marathon. It is not a sprint. If we think it is a sprint, we are finished. And the other point is, we have to understand is meditate within the heart. Devotional service starts from the heart. It must come from the heart. That is why Krishna is not concerned how well we speak, but is concerned about how much we feel. Krishna is more concerned about how much we try and not the result. Only how much we are trying, that is more important for him. Therefore, often we see a sincere person may not be the most effective person. Krishna will eventually give the relation to so that we can become effective and be expert, daksha. So when all these are in place, the two pillars of devotional service manifest automatically. And they are transcendental knowledge and the strength of detachment. Jnanena vairagya balena. The transcendental knowledge and genuine detachment. So 127 Bhagavatam says, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janetyasha Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahaitukam. So when there is bhakti, two things will come automatically. Transcendental knowledge will come. You will become enlightened with knowledge. You do not run here and there artificially, but it comes naturally. True knowledge is transcendental knowledge, which means it can be put into practice. It is not in the sky, but on the ground. It can be put immediately into practice. Second part that will come in the strength of is the strength of detachment. Vairagya balam. See, we try artificially to renounce, that is completely forbidden. No artificial renunciation. Renunciation which is artificial will never pacify. That is why the word pacify, dhira is there, right? So those who are detached, they can only smile. Those who are very attached, they can't smile because all the time they are worried, we are going to lose it. But those who are detached, they feel that what is that we are going to lose when in the first place it does not even belong to us. There is no loss to something that does not belong to us. They can smile at everyone. But those who are attached, they become artificially renounced, and we do not want that, right? It will cause disturbance. So when we are in the family, we have to be very clear to serve everyone very lovingly. In that loving service, there is detachment. It's a beautiful, really a beautiful secret. We become pacified just by serving everyone because that is part of our service. We do not see it as separate from Krishna. We do not see that this activity is separate and that activity is separate. No. So the genuine detachment makes us pacified and dhira. So Prabhupada could have easily used the word shelter of lotus feet, but instead he has given the word sanctuary. This is a word coming from the word Saroja Pitam. Actually, Saroja Pitam means lotus feet. So Prabhupada used the word sanctuary. How wonderfully each word he has been meditating, right? That's what we have to contemplate after class also. So no scholar would use the word sanctuary. Only realized souls like His Divine Srila Prabhupada can use it. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sanctuary is the place where we can be at peace and be sheltered. Just like wildlife sanctuary. Wildlife sanctuary is a protected place. In the forest, there is no guarantee of protection, right? So come to the sanctuary of Krishna and then everything is okay. So when we take his feet as sanctuary, we become protected from being agitated, from being proud, from antha. So we become protected from a lack of eagerness. This is the protection of Krishna given in his lotus feet. So I think now we'll go to the other verses. We don't have enough time to discuss each and every history. So we spoke about this controlling deities of physical elements, right? Controlling deities of all elements from the sky down to the earth are empowered expansions of Lord Vishnu, right? We saw that. And so is his parts and parcels. So we're discussing the last verse, 51st verse, which is very important. So at the time of creation, when they were entrusted with different functions of universal duties, they were unable to perform them in the absence of directions from the Lord. And therefore, they offered these wonderful prayers, demigods prayers. Deva Uchu is all right. So the last verse, wonderful prayer, we just recited in the beginning. We learned so many messages from this prayer about the mood of these controlling deities, and we should try to imbibe them. Just read the translation once again, the 51st verse. Please excuse me because time is of essence. We cannot. Each verse is so important. So this is it. They are saying, "Oh Supreme Sir, please give us what they are asking. Who are created in the beginning from the Mahatattva, that is, we are created in the beginning from the Mahatattva, total cosmic energy. Please give us your kind directions on how we shall act." Do we ask anybody to give us directions? We first do and everything. So kindly award us your perfect knowledge. They know he is the perfect person. For your perfect knowledge potency, so that we can render you service in the different departments of subsequent creation. See, there are 4 aspects we can learn from this prayer. Number 1, how can we serve you? See, in this prayer, the first question they ask is, how can we serve you? Karavama kimte. This should be our mood in serving the Lord, in serving a spiritual master, in serving all the devotees of the Lord. How can I serve you? The problem is, when somebody calls us Prabhu or Master, we really think that we are masters and we get all the service done for ourselves, forgetting the fact that we are eternal position to serve the Lord and the devotees. So how can we serve you? This first lesson. Second is taking directions from authority. The second thing the controlling deities ask is for the direction and how to act. See, they are expressing their inability to act without direction for execution of the order. So we have to ask ourselves whether we look at our Guru or Krishna or directions to act, or do we act according to our own whims and fancies? So we have to take directions from authority. Third is dovetailing our plan with the personal plan of the Lord. The third thing they're asking is, what is your plan, O Lord? Swachakshuhu. So when we look at ourselves, we are planning and concocting so many things and even never bother about Krishna's plan. We should always ask the question whether my plan is supported by Krishna's plan. Otherwise, we are failures. We have to always dovetail our plan to Krishna's plan. The fourth is seeking knowledge and potency to execute the plan. See, the controlling deities are requesting the Lord to award them the knowledge and the potency so that they can render service to the Lord. We should always remember that even though we may independently desire so many things, fulfilling those desires depends on Krishna's will. So Srila Prabhupada very wonderfully writes, purport, therefore, any living entity who desires a position in the middle world may desire so in the service of the Lord and may seek power and intelligence from the Lord, as exemplified by the demigods in this particular verse. Man cannot do anything unless he is enlightened and empowered by the Lord. We should recite this line, everything. One cannot do anything unless he is enlightened and empowered by the Lord. Nothing is impossible, right? But everything is possible with the constant energy of the Lord. See, in our day-to-day lives, no, many times we face so many challenging situations, either at home, at work. We are placed in a situation to do service either alone or as a team. So in those situations, when we remember the wonderful service done by Hanumanji and the Vanaras, we should follow their footsteps. We'll also be successful. See, Hanumanji and Vanaras were successful in their mission, searching Sita because their goal was one, and that was to serve the Lord Ram. They were obedient to the authorities, and they were always respectful to good advice of elders. They were non-envious and prayed for others' success. Now, because they were always grateful and dutiful and had faith in the holy names and rendered uninterrupted service, the Lord was pleased with them and empowered Hanumanji to take the giant leap across the ocean to reach land. That's why this verse is very, very important. And before closing, allowing Krishna to enter our lives. So we don't allow him to come into our lives, right? My Guru Maharaj used to say, we have to realize that Krishna is the only purifying force in our lives. And we should be ready to allow Krishna to enter into our lives. Our greatest defect is that we don't allow Krishna to enter into our lives. And instead, everything else other than Krishna enters our lives. And therefore, we always remain immature in devotional service. Once we allow Krishna to enter our lives, our health improves because of transcendental purity of Krishna. And the gift of maturity will be showered by Krishna through his mercy. Allowing Krishna means in every transaction of our lives, we should try to put Krishna as the final deciding authority. And you have to honestly introspect that. What is that? If I act in this way, will it please Krishna and Guru? If it is not, then we should not act in that way. Since we are limited and imperfect, whatever decisions we may make on our own, we will never be right. But when we take shelter of Guru, Shastra, and Krishna and follow their directions, everything will fall in place. So the moment we start thinking that we are the doers and that we can do everything independent of Krishna, then we'll never be able to hear Krishna's voice, nor will we be able to accomplish anything in life. Only when we are inclined to listen to Krishna and seek his advice, then we will be able to receive the directions from him. And it says in Bhagavad Gita 10.9, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. As soon as we are constantly devoted to serve him with love, and at once he gives us the knowledge to come to him. That's why the demigods are interested. So in the purport, final paragraph of this purport, I just read out. The demigods are interested by the Lord to create different species of living entities according to their past deeds. They are herein asking the favor of the Lord for the intelligence and power to carry out their task. Similarly, any conditioned soul may also engage in the service of the Lord under the guidance of an expert spiritual master and thus gradually become freed from the entanglement of mental existence. The spiritual master is the manifested representative of the Lord, and anyone who puts himself under the guidance of a spiritual master and acts accordingly is said to be in terms of Buddhi Yoga as explained in Bhagavad Gita 2.41. Vivasatmika buddhir ekeha kuru nandana bahushaka yanantascha buddhayo avavesayinam. This is the point we should understand. So this should be our prayer. Very nice prayer, no? So this 51st prayer we should always pray when we are about to do any project, anything we have to do. This prayer we should recite. Just recite this verse and we stop here. Tato vayam pramukha yadarthe Babu vivatman karavama kinte Tum nasvachakshum paridehi shaktya Deva kriyate yadanugrahana. Thank you very much, Mataji, for giving me this opportunity. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhya kripa sandubhaya patidanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Shri Rupa. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
If you have any questions, you can share. You can do that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.